Hi, everyone. Welcome to Season 1, Session 4 of Blueshift Engage, a virtual conference series. I'd like to say welcome to our worldwide audience today. I'm really excited that today's panel spans many time zones, and we'll get into our speakers and their locations in just a moment. Today's theme is the importance of connecting the entire customer experience. We're going to learn today from leading marketers on their strategies to connect their entire customer experience beyond single channel silos. And we'll also talk about how these leading marketers have incited change within their organizations to bring them to the point where they are able to provide a connected experience to their audience. Mentioned today is session 4, day 4 of season 1 of the Blueshift Engage series. We're excited to close out the series tomorrow with a talk about email marketing during economic uncertainty. We'll be joined by the CEO of SparkPost, Richard Harris, as well as Blueshift CEO, Vijay Chatur. But today, we're lucky to be joined by 3 marketers from across the globe. We've got Fredrik Salzedo, who's the Global Marketing Automation and CRM Manager for DPlay, coming to us from Sweden. And we've got Heather Dettmann, who's located in Denver, Colorado, and she is the head of retention marketing for Artifact Uprising. And we have Houman Akhavan coming to us from California. He is the Chief Marketing Officer for US Autoparts, also doing business as carparts.com. So we'll give them a chance to introduce themselves and tell us more about their prospective companies and experiences in marketing. But first, a couple of housekeeping items that we'll go over before we kick off. We will be taking questions and fielding most of them at the end. So please click the Q&A button to submit your questions. You can do that now or throughout the session. Also, we're giving out an Uber Eats gift card at the end of the session to one lucky attendee. So please stick around at the end. We'll announce our winner then. And finally, we have asked our attendees to answer a poll question today. Before we started, look at that, it's almost an equal split. So the question is, hand on your heart, are you wearing PJs right now? Some folks said never, some folks said yes. We've got the pajama mullet, business on top, PJs on the bottom, and my particular category, I'll never tell. So there are some benefits of a virtual conference, right?
Yeah.
So thanks for that. Thanks for answering. Let's start out by, and I think that we'll start in the order of, we'll go east to west. We'll start with cocktail hour, and then we'll move closer to lunch or brunch, and then we'll get out to the West Coast where it's still a coffee hour. But the first question today for you, Fredrik, is, oftentimes as marketers, when we talk about the customer experience, we think about channels and traditional marketing communications. I'm going to talk to my customer via email. I'm going to create an SMS campaign. And it might not be quite that way these days. So I was hoping first that you could talk about how those concepts have maybe changed and how you're currently keeping your customers connected during their journey with your brand. Please introduce yourself to our audience as well. I'm sure that they're excited to hear a lot more about you and Discovery.
Thanks, and glad to be here. My name is Fredrik, and I lead the retention team of the streaming platform called DPlay over in Europe. So we are part of Discovery Networks, as you may know, as some channels over in the US. Yeah, that was quite the question you asked. How to answer that? There's so many answers. But yeah, for us, it's really important because, of course, we are almost content derived. What shows do we have? What rights do we have acquired? And the goal there is to be as personalized as possible in all the channels, because, of course, we can't try to market to you with shows that you may not like. Let's say I'm a Gold Rush fan, and I get exposed to X on the beach marketing. Of course, it's going to be not the best outcome possible. So for us, it's been the challenge to be personalized in all the channels, have the same message to be communicated to the users. Over in Europe, we do have a quite young audience, which is quite challenging because then email is not a great channel to communicate. And that's where we use Blueshift to orchestrate all of those channels together and to be as personalized as possible.
Great, thank you, Fredrik. You brought up some key terms that I'm sure will come up often during today's session, including, personalization. You talked about relevance. You keyed in on channel of choice, orchestration, some really key themes that I'm sure we'll uncover a lot more about today. And now we'll hand off to Heather first for an introduction, and then let us know how you're connecting the experience for your customers.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Dettmann. I head up retention marketing at Artifact Uprising. You may not have heard of Artifact Uprising before. Our mission is to create joy, and we do that by helping people honor the meaningful things in their life by creating high-end photo goods, so photo books, photo gifts, things like that. So bringing tangible quality to those memories that we all have living on our digital devices these days. And at Artifact Uprising, we really focus on many of the themes that Fredrik really just touched on. We want to meet customers where they are. We want to speak to them where and when they want to be spoken to, and we want to be hyper relevant in what we're bringing to the table so that we can keep them engaged and keep them coming back and help them discover new ways to interact and shop with our brand. We love Blueshift because it helps us do and orchestrate. I love that word. It helps us do all of that at once, right? We're able to use multi-channel strategies and really segment based on customer preference and behavior.
Great, thank you so much. Yep, recurring themes, and I think we'll hear some more about that. Although the US Autoparts business is a little bit different than some of the other businesses, and there's marketing to take into account, but there's also some supply chain issues, and really I'll let Houman tell us about the overall inventory, the different number of models of vehicles that he might have to service with with parts that are particular to an owner. So with that, I'll hand off to Houman.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Mannie. Houman Akhavan, Chief Marketing Officer here at usautoparts.com. Our flagship website, carparts.com, is where we market online today. We're an internet retailer of aftermarket auto parts direct to consumers. And like many of the other businesses that you are talking about today, we're kind of an essential service, right? With new car sales being down and people concerned about, going to a dealership to purchase a new vehicle, they have to repair and maintain the vehicle that they have today. So being able to provide a service that you can stay at your home, come online, put in your vehicle, find the parts that you need for your car, and at a great value, get them shipped to you. We think that is something that we're doing that's really helping people in a difficult situation right now. You have a lot of doctors, nurses, frontline workers. They still need to get to work. They're the ones keeping the country running, while a lot of us have the luxury of being able to stay at home and work. We're always mindful of there is a large portion of the population is keeping the country running. So being able to provide a service to keep their vehicles in good shape is definitely an essential service. So that we feel really good about that. To answer your earlier question, Mannie, if there's 3 words that I can, as a takeaway for today's session, I would say first-party data. That's really the foundation of most of our marketing, and be able to give that multi-channel experience. The first-party data is really where it starts. And while we also do believe in machine learning algorithms are an important piece of that, I think the foundation is the first-party data. If you think about maybe 20 years ago, when email marketing started, you'd craft this perfectly curated email that would go to, let's say you hypothetically had 10 million people on your list, right? So they're all getting the same identical message when email marketing started. And there's a lot of assumptions that go in that. And at the end of the day, as a marketer, I don't want to make an assumption to say, hey, this one message is relevant to 10 million people on your list. Whether it's your list, whether it's, you're communicating to them in different channels, such as social. So the first party data is really important because it takes in all the inputs about your customers, the vehicle that they drive. A really good example of that is if I have a customer that drives a Chevy, I don't think I want to piss them off by sending them, an email about Ford parts, right? He loves his Chevy, and that's all he really cares about. And I think that's really what personalization is about, having a really deep understanding of the customer. And they're giving you a vast amount of information about them, and they're just doing it by their natural behavior, right? They're clicking on a search ad, or they're going to social and they're consuming a piece of content that you may have made available. So being able to kind of really track all these inputs is really important, because you may have the best machine algorithm in the world, but if your data isn't there, it's like garbage in, garbage out. So I think the foundation is first party data, and that really drives everything that we do. And I think it's going to be a longer term, roadmap, right? Like a lot of people get concerned about machine learning algorithms. It's going to eliminate the job of a marketer, but it's actually really the opposite. I kind of see it as you leverage these algorithms to, take over mundane tasks, so you can really focus on the creativity and the strategy that's really necessary to be successful. So now when I think about my first party data, I look at an email campaign, and it's really dissecting every piece of it and seeing how can you make this piece relevant to that individual, and how do you really get to that one-to-one personalization. And that's not something that's done overnight. It's like we have a roadmap, and nearly almost every week or every other week, there's a new enhancement that's coming out to really address that need. So the job of a marketer is actually, way more relevant today, and algorithms, they just really help that marketer be that much more relevant. So that's kind of our viewpoint of how we approach these problems.
Fantastic. And what's really nice is this really falls in line with some of the themes that have come out during the week, during our sessions. And if you really want to start now and become a marketer, data analysis is the place to start, right? And that's an opportunity to add an element of creativity to what is known. And the other focus earlier in the week was the suggestion that while many of these jobs are going to go away, these are jobs around automated or manual tasks that are mundane that can be automated. But machines have a very difficult time with creativity, as you mentioned, Houman. So,
yeah.
As marketers, that's where we're going to cut our teeth. And you also mentioned, an interesting concept, right? As an essential business during this time, you're an online business, but you're an essential business, right? And so that's kind of a unique consideration. And while they may not be considered essential businesses, right? People do need entertainment, and also, the ability to be creative and interact with the brand online and actually create a physical product that's personalized to you. So all of our industries are experiencing some unique and novel elements with the COVID-19 scenario. And I want to bring up a couple of quotes from earlier in the week that I think are very interesting. One of those quotes is, during crisis, doors are closing and new doors are opening. You want to run through those opening doors as quickly as possible, right? And also this time right now, this crisis is really a time for moonshot ideas. So we have the idea that taking chances, being creative is essentially part of this opportunity that we have, but also when we identify an opportunity, we have to run quickly. So I want to hand off this time to Heather, because I think that she has a unique marketing experience to share with us about, perhaps what started organically, but then, a door opened and the opportunity arose to run quickly through it. And we'd love to hear about it.
Yes, absolutely. We had a really unique opportunity in the last few weeks. It's a big season for us, Mother's Day. People want to create meaningful gifts for those in their lives. And especially right now, being a direct-to-consumer brand, we have the luxury of being able to bring things to people via mail and have them create for people that they can't touch. And we had a big win with TikTok, actually. So what happened is an organic post went up from an influencer that we weren't working with, had a relatively small following, but posted a really wonderful, quick video on how to make a Mother's Day gift. And we saw incredible traction, a lot of traffic, a lot of purchasers, and an incredible amount of email and SMS growth from this post that had virality on TikTok. And if you're not familiar with TikTok yet, start getting familiar. It's here. And really how the algorithm works so differently from other social networks allows content from people with much smaller followings to really go viral, to have people discover that content and share it. And as that snowballs, it can gain traction very quickly. And like I said, this was not something that had been initiated by the brand, but it really helped inform our strategy and entrance into the platform. And so one of the best ways I've heard it said is like, ready, shoot, aim. So it goes back to exactly what Mannie was just saying. You have to be able to react quickly when an opportunity presents itself. That was very timely. And so we worked very quickly to gain rights to that content. So not only could we leverage that in other channels to see if we could garner the same success because the video was just that good. But we also really took time to dissect that content and understand why it resonated with people and talk about how we could leverage TikTok, which many people look at initially and say, okay, this is a bunch of people trying to learn choreographed dances, and really look deeper and understand what we could do to leverage TikTok as a direct-to-consumer brand.
Great story, Heather. Really appreciate that. Quick follow-up question. Had you ever done something like that before, gone out and taken, a customer's or a third party unintended content and gained rights to it and repurposed it?
Yes, we have, and we do plan to continue to do that, because I think a really important thing to elevate is that oftentimes it is the organic, unexpected content that performs the best. And the best advice I have for people in the realm, especially in social media, but also so relevant for channels like email and SMS, is test, test, test. Throw a bunch of stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Understand and evaluate what is working well, what is not working well. Keep iterating and finding new ways to put content in front of customers and see how they respond to it.
Great advice. Thanks again for sharing that. And I think we'll hand off now to Fredrik. Fredrik, would be happy if you could share with our audience today maybe an uncommon or innovative campaign that you might have either launched or tested. And it doesn't have to be, coronavirus related at all. Just something that you've tried, and maybe it's a success, or maybe it's a failure, or maybe it's just a learning experience, and how you use that, your connected customer experience, to find out more about how they like to interact with your brand.
Well, we do have an example for during Corona, since we are a streaming service. Of course, we have the one side, which is the positive side of quarantine, people having to stay home. Of course, they're going to need to have something to watch. We've seen quite a big growth in the countries with forced quarantine. But then on the other hand, we do have a lot of sports rights that we cannot show and that we were anticipating. So that was quite the challenge to what should we do with all the sports subscriptions that we do have that has no sports to show. We do have, for example, the Premier Leagues of the Nordics in soccer, quite a big hole to fill. So there, I would say that the campaign that we managed to do was to take all of those athletes, and I know that the equivalent has been made in the US, take off those athletes and create the show Life on Hold. What are all of those big famous athletes doing during quarantine times and with Corona? Because if you take Zlatan, for example, the big football player, I know you people in the US know too, because he used to play for LA Galaxy. What can we do with him and use on our platform? So we actually live broadcast, as you know, Sweden doesn't have forced quarantine, so we live broadcasted a training game with Zlatan, and that went really well, because we also used the Zlatan platform with his 45 million followers on Instagram, and that quite made the impact, because yeah, he's such a personality. So that's opened quite a new possibilities and ways of doing things, because yeah, what do you do when you have no sports and you still have a sport business to run? So yeah, that could be one example.
Pretty cool. I like that. Yeah, we're in the States here. We're still trying to figure out what we're doing with our athletes and celebrities and all the money that they generate for our economy. So I like the test that you did there.
Well, over in the US, you do have the Food Network Kitchen program, where you have some live cook along with some famous chefs. So that's one more example. That's not DPlay, but yeah, it's within the Discovery company.
It's true, but it's not on ESPN either. They're the ones trying to figure it out right now. So cool. Let's transition over to the West Coast of the States here, to Houman. And, I'm not quite sure if you're doing anything differently now, or, essentially how you might be marketing to essential workers, or really how you might be pivoting, because many of the rest of us who are working from home really aren't driving that much. And I don't know if that's made a difference. Let's hear what you've been up to.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is, look, anytime there is an economic downturn, the companies that really are going to be the ones that emerge at the end of it are the ones that really, double down on what matters and what works, and they're the ones and innovate really at the heart of it. And obviously with everyone, right, when a lot of this started happening, there was obviously a lot of concerns and uncertainty, but the way I looked at it is like, where's the opportunity for us, right? And what we've seen is there's actually a lot of offline customers who never thought about purchasing online. And we have a lot of first-time customers that are coming, to the website or coming to the internet or the web. So, and a lot of people are talking about, like, this is, it's accelerated digital transformation, probably 5 to 10 years, right? So being an online business is clearly a positive for us. And we've actually seen the benefits of that. In addition to that, there's also, people at home that may be looking at their vehicle as a form of therapy, right? People like their cars, they have more time on their hands. Maybe there was a repair that hadn't been done for a long time. So they're seeing that as an opportunity to want to, keep their vehicle running in good shape. They're uncertain too. So they want to make sure that vehicle that they have is an investment that they take care of. So we've definitely been seeing positives from that perspective as well. Sales have been positive for us. We actually just released our quarterly earnings. So, Q1 for us was actually the biggest quarter in company history in our 25 years of existence. So we've actually seen the benefit of this, and it is continuing into Q2. But at the end of the day, look, I think we're providing an essential service. And as I mentioned earlier, I really, I feel like it's more than just sales, right? I know at the end of the day, as marketers, we have a job to do, but we're also providing, a service that people really need that are in a difficult situation. It was even to the extent that I told my team, hey, leverage your social listening tools, find individuals that are in a really difficult situation and see how we can help them out, right? If maybe there's a discount that they need, because we were getting a few here and there, and we just really took care of them. There was even some examples where we comped the entire order because they were in a really difficult situation. So I would also say, if there's anything that you can do to help, definitely do that. Two more examples I would share of that is, also double down on your strategy, right? What worked before, it's probably even more relevant now as more people are coming online to leverage, the services that you're offering. So for us, content was important before. Now we're developing more content. Understanding your data and trends that are changing. For example, a lot of people were coming online for searching. Am I allowed to travel interstate? A lot of people were concerned, like, am I allowed to travel? So it was actually a huge keyword, and we developed some content around it, and it became a great performing piece of content. And it was a way for us to insert ourselves into the conversation. So that was a positive. And also, outside of sales, another thing that we did to really be purposeful and really help with the situation, we had a number of our employees that acquired 3D printing equipment and actually printed face shields for healthcare workers that need this. So a number of our team members got together. It was actually unfunded at the beginning. They did it out of their own pocket, and then as we learned about it, we then invested into the effort. But they were able to actually produce 400 3D printed face shield masks that were donated to local hospitals. So there's a lot of different ways. You know, you obviously take advantage of the opportunities that you can from a sales perspective. You have to do it. It's kind of your job at the end of the day. But if there's any way that you can really help somebody who's in need, you know, do it. I mean, I think, you know, knock on wood, you know, we're all, you know, fortunate to be in the online space, but a lot of other people aren't. So, you know, any way that you can, you know, help in that cause, you know, I would definitely recommend doing that.
Great. Loved hearing that story. And, you know, another quote that that we documented from earlier in the week, a previous session is, being a good human is good business, right?
Exactly.
And so, you know, doing the right thing pays dividends across the board, especially with customers. And so I'd like to head back over to Sweden and pitch this question to Fredrik, kind of backing up a little bit and thinking more strategically. Was hoping that you could give us some insight into what your major CX initiatives for 2020 kind of look like. Essentially, you know, where are you along your evolution toward that relevant personalized marketing that you'd like to be? You know, if you'd like to add what might or might not have changed since the pandemic, that'd be great. But really, 2020 plans have been set long in advance of our current scenario. We'd love to get a snapshot of what you've been planning.
Yeah, well, the plan is to scale up even more what we've been doing. So we are active in around 10 countries over in Europe, and then we have some activity in Japan, and we have quite the amount of countries lined up to launch DPlay in. It's quite easy for us since Discovery is such a global company with presence in almost every country, then to start a streaming service content-wise, it's quite easy to launch. But yeah, our goal is to continue to scale up, and the central CRM or marketing automation, how you want to call it, that we have built up for the current countries to continue and roll that out for all remaining countries. It's not, everybody wants it, but it's not that easy. For us, we have quite the competitor, Netflix, of course, with top of the line user experience, the recommendation rows, the communication, and of course, every end user is going to expect the same experience no matter what streaming platform you're on. Where's my recommended bar and what's popular in my country right now, like Netflix has. Most of the content being consumed is through recommendations mainly. So for us, it's to really make what we have built in Blueshift, because we have shifted to have Blueshift fully own all the orchestration on marketing and have all marketing being filled by the recommendation engine to be relevant, have the one-to-one personalization, show recommendations to all users based on, it's not a surprise. We are tracking everything you watch, everything you pause, you increase the volume, add to favorites, of course, we're doing it. And we feed that to the recommendation engine. And to try now, the next step will be to take those recommendations that Blueshift is giving us and give them back to the product. Because right now, Blueshift recommendations are being used in marketing only. And we have found that those recommendations are really good and really make the impact. So we want to give them back to the product to have the Netflix bar with recommended shows on a profile level. And that will be one of the main goal this year. To really have this, no matter what channel you are on, is it social, is it push, in-app, mail, in product, whatever, to have the same communications being sent to you. If we have a life cycle, of course, based on where you are, what stage you are on your life cycle of the subscription, and we want that if you cancel the subscription, that you get hits on the channel that you're most active on with the same communication, and we are almost doing that in all the channels today thanks to Blueshift, and the goal is to scale that up to be even more, filling all those holes everywhere where you could come in contact with DPlay as a brand.
I think that's great, and I think that's a great snapshot. You know, a lot of us have built that foundational tech stack, so to speak, and now we're looking to either fill in gaps or automate or make more efficient some of the workflows that we've created within those technologies. So I think that that's really helpful, and I like how you brought up different channels of choice and how we want to stay consistent with our voice across channels. I think that's a great segue for our next poll for the audience. We're going to post a poll about channel engagement during the time of the pandemic and how you prefer to interact with brands. So all of our participants see this poll come. How have you changed the way you interact with brands? The stay-at-home orders have been put in place. And so the first answer is, what stay-at-home order? So maybe in Sweden that's a valid answer, right? Since you guys don't have one in place right now. But anyway, so we'll enjoy hearing our audience feedback on that poll here in just a moment. For now, let's go over to Heather and talk about Artifact Uprising and what you guys have had planned for CX initiatives for 2020, connecting that customer journey. And we've talked a lot about social today. Maybe you could touch also on how you see social in those plans, especially as a connected experience. Really, social is often considered external, but we've really kind of brought it into the fold of communications. So if you could touch on that too, that'd be great.
Absolutely. For us, from a CX perspective, it's really about going a level deeper. So we've talked about personalization and how reliant that personalization is on behavioral cues. And for us, our shopping experience is a little different than traditional e-commerce because it's a product that you have to spend time with, that you have to build prior to that purchase moment. And so there are all these tiny points within the customer journey that we haven't been able to mine for data. And we're really excited to bring it down to that level, to have more insight on what people are creating, why creating it, and using those little intricacies within their sub journey to help inform how we communicate with them, both within the platform and also in their preferred channels. So that's a big focus for us for 2020. And we're always working to improve our editor experience and our personalization capabilities, but we're really excited about the data that we're going to be able to leverage from those little touch points. And we're using that as we expand our channel base. CRM is growing at Artifact. We're a small business, a little bit of a startup, if you will. We're about 7 years in, but we really are looking to expand. We're overhauling our referral program. We're dipping our toe into some loyalty initiatives and things that haven't been present. We've had a lot of success with SMS. And then, as we mentioned, social is an important part of our entire marketing ecosystem. We leverage a ton of UGC content, especially in email. And we're bringing content down to that personalized level too. I love what was said earlier about that content, the importance of content relevancy. And I think we're learning more about what people interact with from a content perspective. And when they come in through different types of content, what type of customer they're probably going to be down the line, and leveraging that to help inform a really nice welcome journey for them.
I can jump in and go next. I think maybe Mannie had a connection issue. As far as on the carparts.com side of things, as it relates to that question, we're really thinking about the holistic, marketing experience for all of our, touch points. So a customer might come to us through search or through email or through social, leveraging our first party data to really drive each of those channels to make sure that there's a consistent messaging experience that goes across all those touch points. That's been a big focus for us. And again, it goes back to the first party data. That's the foundation. We need to make sure that we're collecting the right pieces of information, that are coming to us, right? Maybe they clicked on a product or they consumed a piece of content, you know, that was relevant to them. Like, what are all the things that they've done, and how do we leverage that data to make these, you know, curated experiences that are unique to the individual? And how do you do that on scale? And that's, you know, where our kind of partnership with Blueshift has come in, and we've made some great progress over the last 12 months. But it's, you know, we're really looking forward to the future and all the additional possibilities as we continue to leverage the data that we've amassed to date.
Really interesting. I think I'd love to hear from each of you how you've seen through this time, especially the customer patterns of interaction. I know that's something that Mannie and I talked about earlier this week. We've really seen that our audience is super captive during this time. That might not be the right term, but we have their attention, right? They're spending more time with email. They're spending more time with these digital touch points. Have you seen maybe day of week patterns or engagement rates change throughout this time?
I would say yes, definitely. I mean, typically where you would have seen a Monday be like a big sales day, you know, given that, you know, that's when people get back to the office, right? That's where they access the internet, right? For shopping for auto parts. But now we're seeing it definitely change. It's spread out a little bit more throughout the week. So definitely those behaviors are changing. And again, I think that's why you need to be leveraging, you know, the machine learning stuff and being able to kind of, you know, change as customer behavior changes, right? Because if things are in this old, you know, very manual fashion, well, how are you adjusting when the customer is adjusting, right? So I think that's really where it comes, you know, back to the data strategy and you know, creating experiences that are more unique and one-to-one, and that can't be done in a manual. It's almost, you know, impossible, you know, humanly impossible to do. So yeah, to answer the question, you know, we're definitely seeing changing behaviors, but we're changing with it, and I think that's where we'd like to be.
Nice.
Great
Conversation. Yeah. Thank you, Heather, for taking over there for a moment.
Sure.
I apologize for technical difficulties. No, I think that this conversation is great. And, you know, it's a good, I think, segue to maybe the second part of what we're talking about today. And that's, you know, inciting organizational change, or even what the process of that change kind of entails, right? And so you talked about being prepared, having the right foundation of first-party data and technology to be able to pivot and meet the customer where the customer is. But it's really a long process to get to that point, to be poised to act on that data. And so I know, Fredrik, you've been embarking upon this process for quite some time. And I know that, you know, Discovery and DPlay are big organizations, right? Global or at least multinational, right? So how have you worked within the organization to, you know, communicate your vision, incite this change, and be able to sort of rally the troops around this investment to be a world-class marketer?
Honestly, it wasn't super hard because we came with this top-of-the-line solution where Blueshift is one of those big components. We're not marketeers, right? My team is a technical team that delivers. The role is to deliver the technical possibilities, the framework to all of those countries, local markets, as we call them. And of course, every local market's wish was to have recommendations. What should we fill our marketing with? How can we come with best show recommendations as possible? And we were very far from it. If you rewind maybe 2 years ago, we used to have Adobe campaign. Some countries were doing some stuff here and there, but with no data. And back to what Houman said, the first party data is quite the important thing. We were not tracking anything. We had the status of your subscription, and that's it, what country you belong to. Good luck on creating recommendations on that data. So we implemented a CDP, Blueshift, all of that tracking, all of those data points. And when we had that solution ready to be deployed, then of course every market welcomed us with open arms, because it was such a big change and the solution to all of their problems almost. No, but yeah, of course, who's gonna say no to a top of the line modern marketing that enables you to reach all the customers in all the channels with the same message and to increase every of your marketing KPI? No one is my guess. So yeah, the challenge was not that, but the understanding on how everything works, also the way we work, because before everything was local, and with this setup we have today, we have a central team that are part of the central core product team, and we work with every country and we deliver this setup that we have built. So they don't have the same mandate or so much to say on what technology we should be using, and we are more giving them the possibilities, and that they just use the product, the end product.
Lucky them. Lucky them. So that's a good thing. Before we segue, I want to get your insight into the recent poll right here before we expose the results from the viewers. Have you you're interacting with brands? Has your experience changed recently? With any of the changes to Sweden that might have occurred with the situation, right? Are you status quo or any changes to your interactions?
I would say the big change is that consumption has almost doubled. We see that in how much people are consuming our product. But I was thinking that before, I mean, it's the same with Autoparts or whatever e-commerce you have. People say, yeah, you stay home, but I think that it's been a really long time since I've been spending that much money myself, because now I have the time. I'm home all the time. I see everything that needs to be fixed. I ordered parts for the car later, 3 hours ago, I think. So, I mean, that's also when the purchasing power comes, because we have now time. I don't have dinner with friends. I'm not on vacation away from home. I see all of that every day. I get reminded, and then I take care of it. So I think that that's one aspect we have to think about, is that the purchasing power is not gone. People still have money, at least most of the people. So we see that, yeah, the traffic has been really increasing a lot, especially in countries with forced quarantine, where you don't have so much else to do than to sit in your sofa in front of the TV.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Well, let's see how our audience feels about that. Guys, can we open up the poll results? Let's see. Well, people do know about the stay-at-home order. That's good. If I can't order from my couch, I ain't going to have it. That's leading the charge right now. My inbox and a newfound love for email. Certainly people are interacting with email. I used to be all mobile, but now I'm all desktop. That's definitely happening too. Some people miss their direct mail coupons. Yeah, I don't know. Like, can you scan the paper coupon when you shop from your couch? I don't know. That'll be interesting to figure that out. So I think one of the cool things is we've heard, from two of our guests, right? One with a record earnings quarter in 25 years of business, and the other with, doubling viewer rates, right? Or engagement. So, how about Heather, what do we see on the horizon? Are we looking at a record Mother's Day here as people are home and have some time to bring joy to their families? What do we have on tap, do we think?
Well, I think in the midst of discussing all of this success, it is important to recognize and acknowledge that the future, especially like the next 6 months, is a really uncharted roadmap. So I think all of us, though we have experienced some success as direct-to-consumer companies, are all trying to plan for the worst and hope for the best. At least we are, and we're really looking at data to help us drill down to key performance indicators, so that when that behavior does start to shift, that we can see those early indicators and act on them quickly. But we have a pretty high household income customer, and we did see great performance through Mother's Day. We're really thrilled with the amount of creating that has taken place during this time. People do have the luxury of time, which was said earlier, and I just love that. It really is inspiring to see the creative projects that people have come up with, both to honor their mothers and just in general. We've seen a lot of product creation of baby books for children that are 3-4 years old, and wedding albums for weddings that occurred 5 to 10 years ago. You know, people really getting around to those projects that they may not have had time for previously.
Great. That's a great answer. So we've got a question that came in from one of our viewers, and we'll give it to all of you, but let's start with Heather here. You are all doing fairly advanced marketing across multiple channels using the power of customer data. How big a team do you need to pull this off? We'll start with Heather, maybe the smaller team, but what's your team look like, and what are the players like who are executing this marketing?
The answer to how big the team needs to be is bigger than we have. No, that's always the answer, right? We are a small team. We move fast and break things. There are 2 of us on the CRM team, and we are supported by a revenue team that is about 5 people strong. We do not have a dedicated data analyst as we have had in the past. So all of our team members are scrappy and have knowledge in this area, and we leverage Looker, and we just are in the numbers and in the data every single day. It's part of our culture, and I've mentioned testing several times, and I think that testing and learning, if we're going to fail, we're going to fail fast, because we're not talking about big budgets here, and so we need to be very cognizant of where we're dedicating our time and our budget. And so for cross-channel activities, it really is a team effort. Lucky to have one of the most talented teams I've ever worked with. Everyone's a rock star, and we do a lot with a little.
Great answer. Thank you for that. Fredrik, what does your team look like at DPlay that's executing?
So it's a team of 6 people. Most of them are so-called marketing automation specialists, where the goal is to build the workflows in Blueshift, all the campaigns, see how we can automate as much as possible. But of course, even if the goal is to reach 100% automation, it will be quite impossible to reach that. We will never come away from what we call ad hoc campaigns. New show has a new season launch, for example. It's hard to automate that. So they are working on those so-called ad hoc marketing campaigns, and we have one project to represent every one of the countries we are in, that gather all the information from every country, because it's quite a lot of content we do have, and it's new season launches, it's new shows, etc. So coordinate all what's happening in that country, and syncing with my team to create those campaigns, because again, we are tech people, not marketeers. So my team will, in that case, for the ad hoc campaigns, fill those frameworks with what the local marketing teams have been giving them. As Heather says, you don't have. If I could decide, I would hire some more, because there's always more to do, and especially more countries to launch in. So I just see the mountain of work coming, but we do have actually, since Monday, he started on Monday, our own DevOps person in the team, to get rid of the slowness of the big backend teams of the streaming platform, to have a ticket and to get back in the line, to have that development made. So he will be taking Blueshift to new levels, because then we can continue to have our pace and to do even more nice stuff even faster, since we have own dev resources.
Cool. So far we have a team of 2, a team of 6 with a lot of external resources and integrations, but we have consensus that how big is your team? Not big enough, but that's really good. And we're reaching the end of the hour. We're going to announce our Uber Eats gift card winner in just a moment, but I'd like Houman to give Houman a chance to close and chime in on the last question, and also anything else you'd like to kind of your knowledge that you'd like to impart on our viewing audience today.
Yeah, of course. As it relates to the question for this particular channel, we're at about a team of 5, but I'm also with I think Heather made the comment. I don't think more is not necessarily better. I think for us it's having a good variety in terms of experiences within the team. So somebody strong in analytics, somebody strong in creative, somebody strong in copywriting, and bringing all these different experiences together. I think all of them play a specific purpose. But yeah, like Heather and Fredrik, absolutely love my team. At the end of the day, yeah, it's easy here to talk on this panel and talk about the successes, but at the end of the day, it really comes down to the people on the team. And day in, day out, they put their head down and really want to create something that's memorable and something that's helpful and useful. And so yeah, that's my perspective on that. A couple of key takeaways I would say, to just keep it very concise. I would say first party data and be relevant.
Can't get more concise than that. That's yeah. Fantastic. First party data and be relevant. Awesome. So relevancy, tomorrow, don't forget to join us again, same time, same Zoom channel. Our session tomorrow is email marketing during economic uncertainty, and our guest is going to be the CEO of SparkPost, Rich Harris. And I would like to thank once again our 3 panelists today. You guys did a rocking job. I learned a ton, and it's been really enjoyable as well. So thank you again. And our Uber Eats gift card winner for today is Alec Haas from Red Ventures right here in my town of Charlotte. So congratulations, Alec. We'll be getting that Uber Eats gift card to you. And I think at this point, we've got another minute or 2, but we've ended so concisely. First party data, stay relevant, and stay safe out there. Thanks so much for joining Blueshift Engage.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye.